Hello there, world of tankers, and welcome to the test server. In today's video, we are taking a look at the very long-awaited and interestingly balanced tank destroyers, the NC-70 Bliskawika. I do not know how to pronounce it. Somebody told me in the comments, and I still absolutely suck at it. So, we're just gonna call it the NC-70 for today's video. This is a Tier 10 Polish tech tree tank destroyer, which anybody can play right now on the common test. In today's video, we are going to be testing out how this vehicle plays. We'll be taking a look at its armor, and we'll be talking about how I feel the current vehicle's balance is, and if I think wargaming might change it at all before it is obviously put into the base game in a few weeks. Looking wise, it kind of just looks like your average Soviet tank destroyer. Something similar to that of an Su-122-54, maybe a 113 GFT with its sides a little bit more angled, but yeah, in terms of the look, it's just a classic Soviet knockoff design. And in terms of the armor, we can also see that it's got a lot. This reminds me very much of the 113 GFT, where frontally it's got a lot of protection. The upper plate is upwards of 270, and the higher we aim up, the more it becomes. It's upwards of 300 on the top. We can see that the side cutouts are 370, so this vehicle's got a lot of armor. Using the 7 degrees of gun depression, yeah, I mean, let's load heat. This is what 320 mils of heat sees on your average heavy, about 340 mils at weakest, and 400 mils at strongest. So this thing's got a lot of armor. But you'll notice it really has no gun arc. This is something you're going to have to be very careful of. That's the max gun arc you have. So you can barely even turn the tank to the left or to the right to be able to shoot people, which means you're going to have to constantly be turning the tank. It might be beneficial to try and run an improved rotation on this tank to get that on-movement dispersion down a little bit better. I don't know. Definitely something that you might have to keep in mind. Now, while that lower plate is weak, it's actually pretty strong against lower tiered opponents, being about 200 mils thick, so if you do angle this vehicle out, you can actually get some bounces on that lower plate. Side armor wise, it's pretty strong, especially against AP. I mean, heat shells are definitely going to cut through the sides, but it's actually quite a robust vehicle in general, just over the entire front of the tank. Side, it's about 100 mils thick, and the rear of this vehicle is awful. It's only 60 and 50, so if you do get to the back of this tank and you have high caliber HE, oh man, you can absolutely rip this thing's booty apart. But frontally, that is where this vehicle is obviously mostly going to be played. So obviously, we want to take a look at this gun, and it's got a very interesting gun. See that DPM? 4,282. But that's only when you're using the vehicle frontline. You see, the further you are away from your opponents, the less damage this vehicle deals. That's why I'm actually running a lot of HP on this vehicle. We've got a bounty hardening device giving us 2,310 hit points, allowing us to very easily frontline in this vehicle, especially with that, you know, really solid armor. So I'm hoping that if we're frontlining, we can get this gun to actually get that maximum of 4,200 DPM, which is 800 damage per shot with only an 11-second reload. But to get that damage out, you have to be within, I think it was like 50 meters of your opponents. It doesn't actually tell you in game, which is a little bit cringe in my opinion. It would be nice if wargaming had a little like spot that told you everything, but I think when you're actually playing in battle, it tells you the distance and the damage that you're going to deal. I guess we're going to find out. Dispersion's pretty good at 0.3. I'm not running any aiming device or anything, so that's just pretty accurate. We'll have to see how the vehicle's on-movement dispersion actually feels in game. I am running a T3 Turbo, which allows us, paired with the field mods, to reverse at 20 and achieve a top speed of 50. I'm more important on the reverse speed than it is the top speed, because obviously tank destroyers don't have turrets. They need to be able to back out of a corner they've put themselves in, so having good reverse speed is super important to me, and that is why we have indeed put a turbo on this vehicle. So let's get into some gameplay and see what the vehicle can do. Oh damn, that's a lot of Polish TDs on the enemy team. This will be very interesting of a battle. I'm not sure if all of them are going to play aggressive, because obviously not everybody's probably going to be running a frontline loadout, but I definitely am. Now, one thing I should talk about is the ammunition. This vehicle has APCR on its standard and APCR on its premium. So, yeah, it's one of those vehicles where there's really no advantage to running standard ammo. Just load gold, because you have better shell velocity, better pen, with the same exact damage. we are going to use this tank's actually very good power to weight. I'm surprised how mobile this thing is. I even took away some of its power to weight to get a bit more crew protection and HP, and it's still incredibly fast, so I have no complaints about this vehicle's mobility here at all. We are going to cross right through this little gate here. Hopefully my teammate gives me enough room. No, I guess we'll just have to wait. Alright, and let's see. Will anybody try and cross this? That's the question. But yeah, mobility-wise, this thing feels fantastic. Alright, let's see, and... oh, there's the 277. Bonk. Thank you for 717 HP. Not bad. Alright. So the 277's obviously knocked out at this point. Let's see, we got the Foch over here. Move the VZ off to the side. We're going to aim it on the VZ. Bonk, there you go. 800 damage into his vehicle. That does feel kind of nasty, though, being able to deal that much in one shot. Unfortunately, we do get hit by the Foch, which is obviously not great for me. Then we get hit by the enemy Polish TD. Okay. Well, just trying to get used to this vehicle right now and the overall capabilities it has. I'm also kind of lagging a bit, which is not helping me, but oh well. We're just going to see if we can chill right here for now, I guess. Alright, let's aim it on the 57, and if he pokes, we'll obviously butter right through his tank. Come on. Show me that juicy turret. There you go. 719 damage into his tank. Thank you very much. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. Yeah, the only thing that's not amazing is the ping is really bad. It's like 150, and I'm not sure why. It's just kind of mid-ping. So it's making my brain go like, huh? Alright, so let's aim in on where that 57 was. Let's see if he pokes again. Oh, please. Oh, no, AMX, don't block me, bruh. Alright, there you go. We're good, we're good. I really thought the AMX was going to block me there, but we still lost 800 health from that, which is rather unfortunate. Oh, well. That's a little annoying, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, we got the enemy Polish TD pulling out. We bounce him. We're gonna have to back up. And our AMX is obviously taking the shells. Let's keep backing up. Keep backing up. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Man, this is a bit of a disaster right now. Gotta be honest. We get a nice 814 damage shot into our opponent, but we do get cleared. I mean, this is obviously a steamroll in town, so it doesn't make too much of a difference. But just from the first situation this vehicle had going for it alone, the gun felt pretty dang dangerous, because obviously, as we've seen, the damage per shot of this vehicle at close distance is 800, and it's got 4,200 damage per minute just with a basic rammer, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about it. That means that if you're driving this vehicle properly, even if you do get rushed, you can probably just demolish whatever tries to take you out. Now, are we going to win this game? No, but it's the common test, so it doesn't really matter too much. Our entire team just got ripped apart in town, which is a little unfortunate. Taking a look at the post-game results, that was actually a pretty solid game. We did 3,750 damage, top on the team, and yeah, I can't say the tank felt bad at all. The mobility felt great. The only thing that was kind of throwing me off was the lag was making it a little weird to maneuver the tank, but apart from that, everything was great. The armor felt very good. I don't know if you noticed, but I actually shot gold rounds at an enemy Polish TD upper plate, and it just did not pen. So this thing's armor is very, very robust on that upper plate. Now, to be fair, this only has about 320-ish mils of average premium pen, which isn't that much different from the standard. So it's not going to give you that much premium pen, but still, it's a very, very well armored vehicle. And that DPM paired with the damage per shot is incredibly dangerous. Here we arrive in game number 2. Now, this one's actually a replay. I had just finished recording today's video, and I needed to get a thumbnail, and I didn't know where the heck my replays folder was, so I said, alright, I'm just going to go do a quick battle, snap a picture for my thumbnail at the beginning of this game, which I did right here, and then I was like, I'll just see what I can do in this battle anyway. And this turned out to be the best battle of the bunch to showcase for the video, so that's now what I'm going to do. Up against us, it's once again a bunch of these Polish TDs. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, and then there's also a 183, two 4005s, like, oh boy. This is going to be quite the interesting matchup. But they also have a decent chunk of heavies, which is good, because I want to try and see how this vehicle goes up against heavies, as that's what we're most likely going to be seeing in a real-world situation. So again, I'm going to load heat right at the beginning, because, or not heat, but premium ammo, because there's no reason not to. I was kind of hoping I might be able to shoot one of these guys in the crossing here, but I also know that they might have people that are going to pull off to the side. So, yeah, we're just going to aim it on these guys. There you go. 665 shell into the enemy Polish TD. You'll notice that even from just a distance of it looks like around 50-ish meters, our damage per shot either low-rolled or we lost quite a bit. There you go, 734 into the enemy Panzerkampfwagen 7. So we're already up to 1,400 damage. And do you see how fast this thing's reload is? I mean, this DPM is kind of ridiculous. We have already dealt 2,000 damage in this game. Now, we do get penned by the IS-4, even though we were trying to use our gun depression here and angle our take-up. Still doesn't really matter too much if he cuts through our armor. We're going to try and butter right through the IS-4 upper plate. There you go, 700 damage. So it definitely seems like we have a slight bit of damage drop-off at this distance here with our gun. But still, at the same time, I mean, 3,600 damage dealt already. It has been less than a minute of shooting, and we have dealt 3,600 damage. This is what this tank is able to do in an aggressive situation, which is kind of insane when you think about it. Now, we see the enemy 183 has shot, and with that in mind, we're going to roll around this corner here. We are going to shoot the 60 TP for 931 damage, which is a little ridiculous. Now, this teammate of mine in the Polish TD does kind of get in my way, which does become a little annoying here. So we're just going to poke out sideways, and oh boy, I get bonked by the 60. I get bonked by the enemy TD in the back. Also, I don't know if you noticed this, but that Polish TD that shoots me only does 278 damage. Look at that, 289. So the drop-off is insane. If you're camping at the back of the map with this tank, you basically shouldn't grind it. We've already dealt 5,300 damage. To be fair, I bled a lot of my health at this point, but doesn't matter. I have single-handedly already demolished basically all of heavy flank, just driving this vehicle frontline. And that is how, in my opinion, you should want to drive this tank. Now, we spotted the Foch, but there's no real spot I'm able to shoot him at. I don't trust my HP enough to drive out into the open, poke him, especially because this is common test, where the Foch obviously has a buff on its gun. So, yeah, we're not going to bother with that. We have an enemy Polish TD in the back, though, and we're going to aim in. Oh, we're not able to hit him there. Okay, let's move up a little bit. Can we hit him now? Aiming, aiming, aiming. Still aiming. Obviously, we're not running anything that's going to help our aiming, but look at that. Beautiful shell goes right where we fired. The shell velocity on this vehicle also feels really, really nice, even though it doesn't have as much penetration as, let's say, a 268 or, you know, any tier 10 tank destroyer. The accuracy is still pretty good, and the overall shell velocity means that you're not going to have to worry too much. Plus, because it's premium APCR, you'll butter through any spaced armor, which is quite good. So right now, we're just kind of waiting. We got the enemy Polish TD in the open, and we're aiming on his lower plate. I was about to fire, but unfortunately, he gets picked off right before we're able to get the shell out. So we're going to wait for this 114 to kind of drive somewhere else. We're just going to drive a little bit up, and now we're going to wait somewhere here in the open. You can see our Kron, our 268 version 4 are moving up, and I kind of figured that the 114 was just going to die in the back, but nope, dude actually drives out in the open. We snap the shell, and there you go. Taking a look at the post-game results, we can see that this was a pretty solid game, dealing just shy of 5,800 damage, obviously top on the team, and not much effort really needed to be used in this game. I think it really showcases just how dangerous this vehicle can be when you get it in a front-line situation. The armor itself is really solid, and if you're using it with the 7 degrees, the majority of heavies and even tank destroyers are probably going to struggle to pen you, especially if they don't load gold. When you pair that with the fact that this vehicle has upwards of 800 to 700 damage per shot within 50 to 60 meters of your opponents, it's kind of insane. Now, it does have downsides. Obviously, the biggest downside is if you like to camp, you're just not going to do anything in this vehicle. We saw that the enemy Polish TD sitting at the back of the map did nothing to me. 300 damage a shot, both shells. There's no point to drive this vehicle or even bother grinding it if you're going to camp in the back of the map. This is a front-line tank destroyer that you should be using right up there next to your heavies. If you're not, you're basically going to be nuking your damage. I had a game where I was messing around with about 100 to 150 meters away, and just that distance brought my damage per shot down to about 550. So the further you are away, the less effective you're going to be. Now, you might notice that some people like Quickie Baby have crazy loadouts where they're running vents, they're running rammer, they're running directives, and they're going even more crazy in their field modifications. They're trading crew protection and HP for 3% more DPM. And if you do all that, you can take what I had, which was 4,400 damage per minute, to a whopping 4,963. However, I don't really see that being too important because I would much rather have the survivability, the crew protection, rather than the insane level of DPM, especially when this tank already has really good damage per minute. So it's a very, very versatile tank. I think it's going to be crazy when it gets released, and I don't know what's going to happen. Personally, I would like to see the DPM lowered a bit and the average damage not decrease as much on distance. I think it would make the tank a little bit more fair in a frontline situation, and I think it would make it a little bit more fun to use a bit further back. I don't know, I feel like this tank, if it's played in a proper position, is going to dominate the battlefield with 5,000 DPM. But let me know. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.